Warning, Uncle Adam is not a professional. He's usually not even very good. Try any and all of Uncle Adam's pro tips at your own risk. Void where prohibited. Uncle Adam is not actually an uncle.
So this pro tip is very timely for me, as I'll be going to a gaming convention this upcoming weekend. It's a small little local convention here it's called NEW, which stands for Northeastern Wisconsin, Gameapalooza. It's called New Game for short. And it's going to be, I'll put a link down in the thing, it's website's on the screen. And I'm going to be there, I'm going to be running demos. I'm going to be running Song of Blades and Heroes, which I've talked about before, Golem Arcana, again, what I've talked about before. One of the things you should really think about when you do go to local conventions and small conventions, and you should be going to local conventions and small conventions, one of the things you should think about is playing demos. It's always a good idea to find out about new games and find out about different games. Things you may not play, you can sit down, play it for free, someone will teach you, you can learn about it, and then kind of keep that in your brain's back pocket for the future, for something that might happen. Let me give you an example. Okay, so let's say there's this fictional game that you've been playing for years and years and years. It's, I don't know, something, let's just make up a name, Warhammer Fantasy, let's say that. And it's been around for decades. And it's been a pretty big game for this game company. Let's make up again something fictional, something stupid. Games Workshop, that's a name. So Games Workshop has made this game, Warhammer Fantasy. People have played it for years. You and your friends, your local group of say 7 or 8 guys or girls or whatever, you have been playing this game for years and years. You've got a big army, it's painted. You guys get together at shops, you guys get together at, your friends, your houses, down in the basement, have a cookout, play all day, been doing that over and over again for years. And then all of a sudden, this fictional company, Games Workshop, decides they're not going to make that game anymore. It's done. Now, obviously the police are not going to come and take away all your stuff. You can keep playing the old game, which they will not update anymore. There's no new rules, no new books, none of that kind of stuff. Okay, well, so what's next? Well, we could go into the next game that they've come up with, and I'm going to just come up with the name Age of Sigmar. So let's say Age of Sigmar. People are starting to play that here and there. New people are coming into the hobby, and you're looking at it saying, no, it's not for us. Okay, so what do? For some people, this can be a real motivation killer. For some groups, if something like this were to happen, it could completely just cut you down and stop your motivation. And maybe somebody's like, I'm just going to start playing video games. And another one's like, I think I'm going to start doing that too. Or someone's going to be like, I think I'm just going to stick with board games or whatever the deal is, because it's tabletop wargaming. There's a lot of stuff going on there. There's painting, there's all this stuff, there's the building. There are other hobbies that are easier, Lord knows. But motivation it's a tricky thing, and this can kind of kill your motivation or kill your group's motivation. So what could be possibly happening that could kind of maybe fix this problem? I'll tell you what could happen. You could reach into your brain's back pocket and pull out that, about a year and a half ago, I was at a small convention and I played whatever game and did a demo and it was really cool. Maybe we should look into that. And maybe it's something like Infinity. Maybe it's Dark Age. Maybe it's Wrath of Kings. Maybe it's Saga. Could be any one of those games. Let's just talk about Saga. You could be like, Saga is a skirmish kind of game. Maybe you got 20 to 30 guys on your side, and it's historical. It's not fantasy. But in a historical game, it's not too beardy. It's not too technical and kind of dull like some historical games can be. It's actually pretty interesting, blah, 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 or whatever. And now you start to convince your friends and you start to convince the people in your group. Your motivation stays rolling. And now you guys keep hobbying and you start to a new game. And again, it's cookouts and, game stores and the whole shebang, and everybody's happy. But if you hadn't played that demo when you were at that convention, you wouldn't necessarily know. And there'd just be a lot of hemming and hawing, and people are like, well, I don't know what we should do. Well, I don't know what we should do. But if you can just pull this out and go, this game is pretty cool because I played a demo at it at this other place, boom. I like to play a lot of demos when I go to conventions just because of what I'm doing here on the channel. I like to have a lot of kind of things in my brain's back pocket. I like to have a lot of information so that I can talk to people, and when I run into people at conventions, or if I'm talking about a game on here, if I've played it at least once, I can feel better talking about it as opposed to just what I've read on the internet. So really going to conventions, important, obviously. You meet new people, all that kind of stuff. I've talked about that in previous videos, but playing demos, getting in on demos of games that you're not necessarily interested in, but you want to know more about it, super important. So I'm going to make sure I play a demo when I go to the convention this weekend. And you should be going and playing demos at local conventions, or if it has to be something like Adepticon or Gen Con, so be it. But make sure when you're at a convention, you're not just there to buy stuff, look at the vendor room, maybe play in a tournament of a game that you play all the time. Look at new games and play a demo.